Cathryn Bethune is both a scientific researcher and an explorer. Now a geology professor at the University of Regina, she describes how her passion for this field first began.
I remember seeing in Ontario for the first time, this stands out in my mind, the Precambrian Paleozoic unconformity. So a huge gap in Earth's history with really old rocks below and overlying them with horizontal bedding rocks of the Paleozoic ocean. And I was hooked at that stage. And
since then, her interest in the Canadian Precambrian Shield has led her on research expeditions to the Arctic and northern Saskatchewan. Recent fieldwork takes her by float plane to the shores of Lake Athabasca, where she's looking for clues about the assembly of an ancient supercontinent.
So the shield is a collage of these Archean blocks that were sutured together at around 1.9 to 1.8 billion years ago, forming an ancient continental mass known as Nuna.
Her research is focused on the block known as Ray Province, spanning northern Saskatchewan and bound to the south by another block called Hearn Province. In her exploration of the snowbird tectonic fault zone between the two blocks, one question remains.
There's been debate as to whether this snowbird tectonic zone is an ancient plate boundary, or whether this fault zone is simply an intracratonic fault, which formed through reactivation of an earlier fault, so that the fault was actually, or the possible earliest formation of this structure was in the Archean, and then it was reactivated during the Paleoproterozoic. So that's an important question. Were these two separate blocks that came together, or were these intact and always together?
While in the field, Professor Bethune measures structural elements of folding and rock cleavage. This research applies to mineral exploration because deposits are controlled by rock deformations like folds and faults. While analyzing rocks in the lab is important, she says exploring remote formations is the most exciting part of her work.